see this right here? This is a cowbell. Get used to this sound because you're going to see it a lot in the American League playoffs after the Tampa Bay Rays, a team with a $43 million payroll, just went into the world's self-proclaimed most famous ballpark and beat the Red Sox 2 out of 3. Where there's smoke, there's Favre. First of all, let me just say this. America cares about as much as the Dodgers, Phillies, NLCS as they do about the WNBA or Major League Soccer. This is the de facto World Series between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox. Michael Phelps, what he's doing is great. Is he the greatest Olympic athlete of all time? Yeah, I'll consider that. He's the greatest swimmer of all time once he breaks Marc records. But to put him up there amongst the pantheon of greatest athletes in the history of sports with Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, Jim Thorpe, Willie Mays, no, I'm not buying it. And in terms of team chemistry, this makes the NFL's most dysfunctional family, the Cincinnati Bengals, look like the 1985 Chicago Bears. I mean, it was just time. The writing was on the wall. Yeah, let me quote Jim Morris Sr. here for a second. Pac-Man Jones just doesn't get it, and he never will. Which Brett Favre are we going to see in 2008? The guy that led the NFL in interceptions back in 2005 that went 4-12, or the guy that led the Green Bay Packers to the NFC Championship last year? Shocked, devastated, stunned disbelief. I mean, to quote the late, great Jack Buck from 20 years ago after Game 1 of the 1988 World Series when Kirk Gibson hit that dramatic home run off of Dennis Eckersley, I don't believe what I just saw. Great players are defined by what they do in the postseason. He's done nothing in the postseason. And speaking of nothing, how about last year's MVP, Jimmy Rollins? The guy's only got 2 RBIs so far in the postseason. He's batting .214. And Terry Pendleton just called, and he said that Jimmy Rollins is giving a bad name to former National League MVP winners. You hit the nail right on the head. The Red Sox have become what they despise the most, the New York Yankees. They are the new evil empire in baseball. And with that, conversely, the Rays have become America's team because everybody, whether you're a Mets fan, a Cubs fan, a White Sox fan, it doesn't matter. Anybody who doesn't hail from New England are rooting for the Tampa Bay Rays for the rest of the way. And the most amazing thing about this, he has made LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, he has made them the undercard in Michael Phelps for now, and he's the main event. Michael Phelps is the main attraction right now in the Olympics, and the Redeem team has taken a proverbial back seat right now because this is the Michael Phelps games. It's not just the Beijing Olympics. I think this is a sheer power play. When you look at the Green Bay Packers general manager, Ted Thompson, he's the guy who drafted Aaron Rodgers back in 2005. Brett Favre has played this game for the last 3 or 4 off seasons. Do I want to come back? Do I want to retire? And I think finally Ted Thompson and the Green Bay Packers front office, including Mike McCarthy and Mark Murphy, said enough's enough. I mean, we're moving on. We're going with Aaron Rodgers. It's just sad to know that Brett Favre's last pass as a Green Bay Packer was an interception in the NFC Championship. Well, when you lose 17 of your last 20 games and you bench your starting quarterback, Mark Bolger, who just signed a 6-year, $65 million contract extension before the 2007 season, when you get called out by your other franchise player, Steven Jackson, and you have an offensive line that's given up 15 sacks in their first 4 games, I think it's time for Scott Linehan to go. He lost the locker room, and that's the worst thing you can do, because let's face this, Andrew, this is a players' league, much like the NBA, much like Major League Baseball. When you lose that locker room the way Scott Linehan did in St. Louis, then it's time for you to go. This is not Cinderella. This is a team who won 97 games. This is a team who won 10 games versus the Red Sox 8. They beat them 8 of 9 here at Tropicana Field. They have a much better bullpen. They have the best defense perhaps in Major League Baseball. All you got to do when you beat the Red Sox, you got to get to their bullpen because their bullpen cannot compare to the Tampa Bay Rays. This team is somewhat reminiscent, Linda, of the 1991 Atlanta Braves. Let's keep in mind, Brett Favre in the last 11 years has won a grand total of 3 playoff games. In those 5 playoff losses, Michelle, he has 8 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. Is Brett Favre a better quarterback than Jeff Garcia? Unequivocally, yes. 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. But is Brett Favre a better fit for the 2008 Tampa Bay Buccaneers than Jeff Garcia? Absolutely not. And let's remember, here's a team who lost 8 of 9 games from September 11th through September 20th. They fired their manager, Ned Yost, and they're playing with the house's money. And look who they're playing, the Philadelphia Phillies. And you remember the Phillies coming back last year, down 7 games with 17 to go, overcoming the Mets. What did they do in the first round? They got swept by Kaz Matsui in the Colorado Rockies. So why can't the Milwaukee Brewers be the Rockies of 2008? Mike Scioscia, when he went to argue with Tim Welke, I mean, he went out there for less than the Kimbo Slice fight on Saturday night, which was only 14 seconds. I mean, when there was no Earl Weaver, Billy Martin dramatic episode, you kind of just figured that Scioscia just went ahead and conceded defeat, and at that point, the Angels did. Here's an organization that never won more than 70 games in a season one time. And here we are at the American League Championship Series. It's almost like a juxtaposition. The bad news Rays versus the new evil Empire. And think about it. You know, up in Boston, they've got Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Down here, we've got Hulk Hogan, Nasty Boy Brian Knobbs, and Dick Vitale. You got older women getting mohawks, little kids getting mohawks. It's unbelievable, and it's made the #1 team in Tampa Bay virtually kind of anonymous. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have a huge game on Sunday against the first-place 4-1 Carolina Panthers. A lot of people who had never considered this preposterous notion are considering the fact that what does this team need? They need a power bat, and there's a guy out there who the Red Sox can't block the Rays from claiming on waivers. His name, Barry Lamar Bonds. He's the most polarizing athlete and the most prolific home run hitter in Major League Baseball history. That's what this team needs to get to the postseason if Evan Longoria cannot come back from the DL in 2 weeks. And oh, by the way, that other team in Tampa, the Buccaneers, have a big nationally televised game on Sunday night against the New England Patriots here at Raymond James Stadium. But the bottom line is this. The Rays are the present, and it looks like they're going to be the future. They have the deepest farm system in Major League Baseball. This is not George Mason going to the Final Four in 2006. This is a team who's going to make